She gave you everything she had, but she was young and dumb. She just turned 21. She didn't care to hang around. So when the shit came down, while she was nowhere to be found, this life can turn a good girl bad. She was the sweetest thing that you had ever seen. You're such a delicate boy in the hysterical realm of an emotional landscape and physical terms. With your cherry lips and golden curls, you could make grown men gasp when you go.
Welcome to Mugello, Ferrari's test bed and the Alpha Touring Challenge's location for round 9 of season 11. It has been a fantastic season thus far. The championship battles are coming down to the very wire. Michael Polasek holds a slim lead over his teammate Logan McKenzie in the Alpha Championship as we close in on the final 4 rounds of the season, while Jacob Wiley holds a decent gap, a slight cushion, over drivers like Christian Ost, Brian Saab, and the rest of the Delta field lurks behind the B4D driver. What will happen to these guys in Mugello today? The grid is set, and we are set to do 45 minutes around Mugello. This is the first time that the Alpha Touring Challenge has ever visited the track. Lots of winding curves and a good test for the very first race in series history on the new tire compound. So the final third of this season could look a little different as we look at that compound. And now, let's take a look at the starting grid. Kevin Clark, Jason Lynn, Zachary Bowman in his first Delta start today. You see Spencer Clark starting next to current Delta Championship leader Jacob Wiley, so he's a bit further down the order behind rivals such as Christian Ost and Fuad Al-Rizla, who you see there, and then Brian Saab starting just ahead of them. Daniel Smith on the grid on the left side, and then Evan Clavijo in Delta pole just next to Anthony Harrison and David Bauer on the grid. Then you get into some SRG drivers. You see Dan McFarlane, you see Matthew Mayer and Ian Bertolucci. They've sandwiched in Raymond 2 and another breakfast for dinner driver, James Carr. Lazan, Schink, Hendricks back on good qualifying form. Polasek has gotten the better of championship rival McKenzie in qualifying today. Round 9 at Mugello starts now. grid is set. Michael Polasek waits to lead them off here at Mugello. This is race 9 of the season. Who will come out on top? The drivers revving up. We await the green lights. And we are go here at Mugello. Polasek gets them away, and they are piling down to turn number 1 as they all file out. Look at that. In the middle of the field, you have 2, 3 wide, a couple SRG drivers going side by side. And into turn 1, it's a sweeping sort of uphill hairpin. We'll see how these guys handle it. You got the 2 SRG drivers side by side on the through the hairpin there. I believe that is Bertolucci and Mayer. And now it's Bertolucci and Bauer dueling with another SRG driver further back there. Then further on back, you see Danielle Smith and Fuad Al-Rijla dueling for position. That's 13th they're battling for. And just ahead of them is Micah Hendricks, qualified a little bit lower than he wanted to today. He's fighting his way back through the field with this one. Polasek leads from McKenzie, from Schink, Lausanne, Mayer, Bauer, and Bertolucci. Clavijo is your Delta leader. Al Rijla and Daniel Smith going side by side right now. And then Christian Ost and James Carr looking to capitalize on this. Al Rijla working the outside of Ost. And 2 B40 drivers there. That's Carr. That's Wiley. Carr's going to go wide there. He tried to keep the foot down. It didn't work, but he's going to try and stay in it on the outside around the 157. 157 gets a good run through that corner, but Carr's going to come back at him. It's not going to be enough to take what is the battle for 15th position right there. And so for the moment, those guys are static. Further up ahead, you see David Bauer slotted in between a bunch of SRG drivers. He has May up front, and then Bertolucci and McFarland behind. And then you see Raymond 2, and then Evan Clavijo, your Delta leader. He currently runs in 10th overall. Further on back, I believe I just saw August Blondal take a position from Jason Lynn. This is the battle for 7th in the Delta class as these guys all come onto the front stretch to complete lap number 1 here at Mugello. The first time the series has ever been at Mugello. And now Jason Lynn getting squeezed at the bottom of the track by August Blondal. Now they come to turn 1 and the squeeze is off. He goes over the left side of the track to enter the braking zone. On the left side, a little bit of contact. Lynn gets caught out, and now it's Alexander and Zachary who are gonna try and take advantage of this. Both these guys in their first ATC start will go on board with Bowman here as he works around. And he's still side by side with the Audi. The 007 and the 654 battling for 9th in Delta class. Bowman tucks in behind. Further up ahead, Brian Saab and Daniel E. Smith going side by side. This is a tough place to be doing it, but it looks like they've managed to make it work. And now Rizzo's going to try and get involved, and Christian Ost also trying to get back into this. Those 2 B4D cars still lurking back there. All of these guys still running very close to each other. And a little bit of contact between Ost and Carr coming up over the hill. And this time Carr has the inside line through the hairpin. And he's going to try and hold that. And they aren't even at the hairpin yet, actually. But Carr is already around him. It's going to be Wiley who will have that line. So again, both of the teammates get through on him on this lap. Yes, they do, so they move on to hunting down Al Rijla. Jacob Wiley's currently your Delta leader in the championship standings. Ost, Saab, and then Clark and Son are 2, 3, 4, and 5 in that scrap at the moment. Smith still leading Saab up ahead, and then further up ahead, Bertolucci on the left side of the track. He may have picked up a slowdown. McFarland is being shoved down the front stretch by Raymond 2. I wonder if the SRG drivers had it coming together, because 2 has now capitalized. He's gone around one of them. Coming into turn number 1, he's right on the bumper of McFarland. Will he try anything as they roll their way on through? No, he will not. But look at this. Further on back, Jacob Welly. On the inside, they both spin. They both get a little loose. Clark and Darnell will go through on Ost. Harrison goes through on Wiley, and now Wiley's running into some trouble as the 919 tries to slip up the inside here and take advantage of what looked like both Wiley and Ost just kind of losing traction there. Both getting sideways at the exact same time, and just a funny little incident. It's resulted in both of them losing out a bit. James Carr now going... he just got passed by Anthony Harrison. Oh, and there's an incident. Daniel Smith is sideways. Oh, Christian Ost barely dodged him. And now Carr is going around Saab on the outside. Saab running slowly here, but he's blocked Wiley in. So these guys are all going to stack up right behind him. The Alpha field's been pretty static since the start outside of the SRG drivers with the Delta field. This has been dynamic. And now Clark's looking for a move on Wiley. Will he try that on the outside of the hairpin? The first of two on the back half of the track. There are 3 on the track total. First one being in turn 1. So they'll go through this fast S. You keep the foot down. You do not lift, and then you come to the final big sweeping carousel. And Wiley's still stuck behind here, but look at this, a slide from James Carr, and he's still sliding. What is going on with these guys today? It's the Hondas. We've seen, I believe it was Ost and Wiley, and now Carr. We've all seen them all kind of kick out into these strange slides. But now Saab is trying to come back at Carr. Into turn 1, he has a little slipstream. He'll go to the inside, but Carr is going to outbrake him. And that'll be that for that battle for the moment. Further up ahead, Polasek, well in command of this race. 1.8 seconds up on teammate Logan McKenzie. McKenzie running in P2. He's just ahead of Francois Schink here. Schink's been on his back bumper the entirety of this race. And then Lausanne, Mayer, and Bauer. I mean, this whole train, they're all following pretty close behind. And now look at this. Wiley under pressure from Clark. Clark going around the outside. And this is where Saab and Smith came together. But Clark is going to slot in quite nicely there. He's into P4 in the Delta class. So that's good stuff from him. Fuad Ridgelet under pressure from Anthony Harrison. He's going to go a bit wide. He tried to keep the foot down. Manages to keep the speed, though. Harrison's going to keep the nose in. Oh, and a little nudge. He ran out of space, and that opens the door to James Carr right behind them. Looking for a move. Hard to outbrake someone into this hairpin because you're trying to kind of gradually guide the car over the crest. So if you go in deep and hard on the brakes, it's going to be trouble getting the car actually stopped. Further up ahead, Evan Clavijo under pressure from Micah Hendricks, the current Delta leader. The Yart driver does currently have a 6.5 second lead over the next closest Delta driver. I mean, he's racing with the Alpha group up there at the moment. Hendricks is going to pull out to the left to make this move down the straightaway. He's going to be ahead of him by the time they get to turn 1. Clavijo does keep a nose in there, so Hendricks is going to have to work around the outside if he wants to get this done. He manages to keep it there. Now into the next left-right. Clavijo just has to keep a nose in, and Hendricks has to yield. Over those curbs, though, Hendricks is going to get the better momentum, and as they come to the next corner, I don't think there's going to be any question. Hendricks is ahead. Clavijo demoted to 11th overall, but still leads the Delta class. Up ahead, Mayer's under a little bit of... it's Lausanne. Lausanne has slipped backwards, and Mayer has gone around him. So he is promoted up into 4th. That is 3 positions gained from him in this race thus far. I also spoke about Micah Hendricks having a bad quali. He did not necessarily have a bad quali. He just had a bad start, and we had missed that. But he's lost 7 positions since the start of this one, so he was up there in either 3rd or 4th on the grid. James Carr also lost 6 spots on the start. He's also sitting behind Fuad Rijla and Anthony Harrison. They're all going at it as they come into this little right-left. Harrison slips ahead of Al Rizla quite nicely, but Al Rizla is going to have a little momentum here, enough for some kind of switchback, but Carr putting him under pressure. If he makes the wrong move here, he will lose out to Carr. And I think that is exactly what's going to happen as Carr slips through in the hairpin as he dices his way back through the Delta field. Al Rizla hanging out on the right side, but it's not going to be enough there. Further back, Clark is still behind Brian Saab. Jacob Wiley lurks behind. He has a pretty sizable championship lead. Oh, Saab gets a bit loose there, and he's going to go wide on exit. And Clark is through onto the Delta podium for the moment. And look at this 6-car group, followed very closely by another group of 3 cars. And the field has quite nicely sliced itself into 2 groups, one mostly of Alpha drivers and one mostly of Delta drivers. Further ahead, this is Harrison defending Carr. Carr's on the left side into the turn 1 hairpin. And they will stay side by side. Further back, Brian Saab and Spencer Clark are doing the same thing. But Clark did emerge ahead in that instance. Here, Harrison on the right side of the track. Carr's going to have an advantage as they go through this section, but he does not clear Saab. However, like we saw in the last lap, better momentum around the outside, and that's all it took for Carr to finish that pass off. Now we check in on Connor Acatella. He's looking up the right side of Mark Darnell. Very fast part of the track. We saw an incident here earlier today. Christian Ost is trying to take advantage of the slow speed they're carrying through there. Instead, they'll go 2x2 through here as well, and this could be a problem for I feel like they're both going to lose out to Christian here. Surely one of them, but no, they all slop. Oh, Connor goes very wide, and he took a suboptimal line there, trying to carry the momentum, and now Ost has the advantage, and Ost is through. And up ahead, Wiley through on Saab now, so he lost out to Clark. Now he loses out to Wiley, and Wiley's up to P4 in this Delta race. That's P16 overall. Up in the Alpha class, Raymond 2 is still hanging out ahead of, that's Ian Bertolucci, ever since Bertolucci had his issue. And then Dan McFarland has kind of departed from this group to go catch up to Mayer, Lauzon, and Bauer. Micah Hendricks has pulled up to the back of this duo. And he may be able to take advantage of something here if they start to fight. Bertolucci on the inside to turn 1. And 2 hanging around the outside nicely. There is some grip out there, but he's gone a bit wide, and now he's invited Hendricks into this. But Hendricks not able to keep a nose in, and so Bertolucci goes through on the 96. He's promoted into 8th position. Lauzon running in 5th right now. Still hasn't been able to find a way back past the 12 of Matthew Mayer. He's put on a couple of really impressive performances since joining the series. Here we are looking at another one at Mugello. Oh, John got a little loose as he hit the bottom of the hill there, washed out. It washed him out into the gravel. Lucky it didn't put him out there too far. But he continues driving. Checking back in on Christian Ost. He's behind Mark Darnell here. He got around Connor Acatella after Acatella went off track, but he hasn't been able to get back around or continue his way around the person who Acatella was battling, which was Darnell. Ost currently running 19th overall. This is P6 in the Delta class. And Ost currently P2 in the championship standings behind Jacob Wiley. So 3 spots behind Wiley on track. That's not helping him out there. It's only extending Wiley's championship lead. Wiley's next closest competitors, Saab and Clark, he is ahead of Saab, but behind Clark. But Clark is a bit further back. So this is, so far, it's a good points day for Wiley. Micah Hendricks, while we were looking at the Delta class, he's gone around Raymond 2, and now he's got his sights set on Ian Bertolucci in 51. Not sure he's going to be able to do anything into turn 1 here, but we'll see if he throws a move up the inside. And nothing going there, so he will work on trying to force an opening on the 51. Lazan has made his way back past Mayer, so now these two swap positions again, and David Bauer, that helps him out a little. John Lazan's windshield wipers are on. He's clearing off dirt or something on his windscreen, but he continues driving. That helped Bauer out. That caught him up 2 or 3 tenths. Whatever happened there, that facilitated Lazan getting around. And now we hit the 15-minute mark of this race, 1/3 of the way through this contest. Michael Polasek, pretty commanding lead now, 3.1 seconds ahead of McKenzie and Schink, who long detached from Lazan, but Schink has not detached from McKenzie, and he is still well within striking distance if something happens in this pit cycle or the tires change. This is the first race we've had on the new tire compound. They're very sensitive to heat. Very easy to get them out of that window, and then you start to shred them. You experience some serious fall off from the core temps going too high. So, which one of these guys is tire saving? Are both of them not having to push too hard? And how hard is Polasek pushing? I mean, he just put 5 tenths on McKenzie in that lap, 4 or 5 tenths. So, that's some intense pace from the 45, especially if these two back here are not doing a whole lot of tire saving. But it remains to be seen. We won't see how that really plays out until we get towards the end of these guys' stint. And I don't think they'll be coming in for a pit stop until past the 30-minute mark. Micah Hendricks is going to take a shot at Ian Bertolucci. He's close enough on this lap, so he'll look to the right side as they head to the hairpin. Bertolucci really hugging the track there. It does sweep left, so it gives him a slight advantage to do that. It's smart racing, but can he hold it around the outside? Hendricks gets a lot of drive coming off the corner and expertly puts it in front of Bertolucci. Now, look at this. Al-Rijla and Clark going wheel to wheel for P2 in the Delta class. Clark's been hunting Al-Rijla for a couple of laps now, and he has approached the rear bumper of the Motorsport Racing Team Audi. Jacob Wiley lurks behind, waiting, hoping for something to happen here. Up ahead, it's Anthony Harrison on James Carr, trying to take this position back. Carr took a lot of curb there, but I think he got away with it. As they come up to the S's, it's Carr ahead of Harrison, but only for a moment. Harrison tried something there, couldn't get it to work, but he's going to try the switchback. Al-Rijla is still ahead of Clark in the background. This is Harrison showing real pace here and challenging Carr, who has battled for championships in the past. Oh no, Carr goes a bit wide there. That was strange. It almost looked like a snap oversteer, as opposed to him just kind of going wide off the track. He doesn't lose too much time to Harrison, but he does lose the track position. That was a bit of a dramatic moment. Right through the gravel for the B4D driver. Clark still on the back bumper of Al-Rijla, 18 minutes into the race. He's going to be, he's trying, that's going to be a slowdown. Surely they are going to penalize him for that. I think he cut the track. Let's see. Wiley's going through on the inside. Clark's letting him go. He definitely picked up a slowdown. I think he's managed to serve it here. Oh, he's going to come back at him. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell whether he picked up a slowdown or not, but if he did, he served it, and now he's coming back at Wiley. Too wide down the straightaway. This is exactly what Al-Rijla would like to see. Here they come to turn one. Al-Rijla giving Wiley some of the slipstream, and then they come back for the hairpin, and into the turn. Clark ahead on the outside, but can he hold it? That Honda has a lot of grip through this hairpin. He manages to keep a nose in. But I think he's got to back out. Yep, not fully alongside. Had to back out there as well. He took the corner. And this is all great for Evan Clavijo, because he sits a very long way away from Fuad Al-Rijla. That is an 11-second gap for the Yart driver, and this would be a lovely get for Clavijo. He currently runs in P11 overall. He's also P11 in the Delta Championship right now. Missed a couple of races, but A win here would be his first of the season and would be a huge boost to, say, a late championship charge, or even just helping Yart shoot up the team standings order. Anthony Harrison and James Carr going at it again, and Harrison has just let Carr back through. As we come to the 20-minute mark, these two have swapped positions multiple times. We'll go on board with Harrison. You see Harrison holding a tighter line from the very entry of the corner. Takes it all the way out through the apex, whereas Carr, you see Harrison kind of did a slight double apex there. Carr doing more of a late apex. And now Fuad Al-Rijla, I think he had some kind of issue coming through the final corner, because Wiley and Clark have both slipped through, and now this is Clark's chance to jump into P2 in the Delta class. He doesn't have to get around Al-Rijla anymore. Instead, it's Wiley. He goes to the left side of the track. Al-Rijla's there. That's almost 3 wide. He cuts the Audi driver off. Wiley is going to be there in the lead, and now Clark is kind of out there without a whole lot of grip. Al-Rijla sticking his nose back in, but nothing to do with it. So Wiley is into P2, but which one of these drivers is faster? It's hard to say at this point. We've got a couple of these close battles up and down the track. Further up the field, I mean, John Lazan still running ahead of Matthew Mayer and kind of creeping back up to Francois Schenck. On that last lap, Schenck made some kind of error and lost almost 3 seconds. So that completely detached him from McKenzie. It may have been a slowdown, but that's put him closer to Lazan than McKenzie at this point, I think. And we've just had another position swap. I think, did I just see McFarlane and Bertolucci swap places there? It was. So McFarlane drops to P8. That may have also been a slowdown. He was quite slow through that sector. So that may have been what caused that overtake. And this track is definitely catching drivers out with the off tracks, with the slowdowns. Very easy to make an accidental cut with the way some of these S curves are set up. Spencer Clark, Dan McFarlane darts to pit road there as we cut away. We cut to Jacob Wiley, who's throwing a defensive move through the final corner, and that's going to kind of hurt his momentum here. Clark's going to go out wide, and as they come to the straightaway, I feel like he's gonna have something here, and he does. So here they come. McFarlane's still the only car to pit yet in this cycle. Here come Clark and Wiley. Clark up the inside. He may have this while he's trying to hold it on the outside as much as he can, but no, it is Clark back up into P2 in the Delta class. I think that's for the first time today. And Jacob Wiley once again demoted as Fuad Al-Rijla hunts, just lurks kind of behind these guys, waiting for a chance to get back past. Dan McFarlane has come out of the pits. He has emerged. He had a 10.4 second stop, and that has resulted in him emerging in 22nd. He's got a pretty decent amount of clean air in front of him. It's 3 seconds to the next car, which is Jason Lynn. But I wouldn't expect many other people to pit for a bit. We check in on David Bauer. I thought I saw him disappear off the leaderboard for a second, but looks like he's okay, running just behind John Lazan, who is once again behind Matthew Mayer. And he had a pretty decent gap to Mayer last time we checked on them. So something has once again caused them to leapfrog each other, and once again we have missed it. But yeah, Mayer closed that gap quickly. Maybe another slowdown, maybe a slowdown for Lazan, or maybe just a mistake, or Mayer put in a couple of good laps. Whatever happened, Bauer is even closer to these guys than before. He's once again at that 0.6 second gap. Lazan may go for a late move here. Yes, he does. Pulls to the right, into the hairpin. Oh, it's going to be close. Mayer trying to pinch down as much as he can, but he goes out wide. He's going to carry a lot of momentum, so he'll still have the nose in. This is going to help him out. He will be on that outside line. He'll get some momentum, but Lazan may clear him, and now Bauer's going to be right there. Oh, it's a huge moment. I can't believe they're all still alive. What that has done is it's allowed Bauer to get a nose in on Mayer, and Mayer, who had maybe a chance to cross over at Lazan. Oh my goodness, Bauer's all over the back of him, and now they come down through the sweeper. Mayer on the right side. I think he's cleared Bauer enough to get at this apex. He does, and that is Bauer helping his teammate out. I tell you what, Lazan lucky to have not been clipped there as Mayer got sideways. But Mayer just trying to come off the curb and find space to the right of Lazan to cross him over. But Bauer was already trying to stick his nose in there. And Mayer, I think, was hoping that he could get to the right side before Bauer really got in there far enough. But it was too late. Mayer got sideways. They managed to keep it all together. And they haven't really lost that much time to Lazan. So this battle for fourth continues. We've crossed the halfway point in this race. As we approach the 26th minute, that will be 19 to go. Dan McFarland working his way through the field. He goes around Jason Lynn. Christian Ost is now under pressure from Connor Acatella, who's caught back up to him. Acatella went around Darnell earlier, and now he's on his way trying to get into 16th as he works on Ost, and he may have gotten a slowdown there. He took a lot of that corner. But let's see. He's backed off a decent amount. I would not be surprised to learn that was a slowdown, but also it does allow you to cut a lot there, so maybe we're just seeing things that look like slowdowns, but they really aren't. Oates is going to be in trouble here. He stays on the right side of the track. We have seen that generally it seems like defending to the inside of turn one is the proper play as long as you are far enough alongside. He's just far enough alongside. Now he's at the part of the track where there's a lot more grip. He can really get the power down compared to Acatella, and he does, staying ahead of the double yellow driver, at least for this moment. Now it feels like we're just kind of waiting on everyone to make their pit stops. Polasek, his lead over McKenzie has been pretty stable. There have been a couple laps, I think, where he's picked up slowdowns, so it's been fluctuating, but it's back to that 3.2 seconds, and now Acatella has slid all the way back behind Mark Darnell. Is it a mistake? Is it a slowdown? Whichever. And now, Matthew Mayer's been passed by David Bauer. We are cursed to not see any overtakes on the 12, I suppose, but a quick mistake or Bauer sticking his nose in, but he gets by the SRG driver. Let's look in on the Delta leader, since we checked in on the Alpha leader. Clavijo, his lead has grown. It's at 12.2 seconds over Spencer Clark. And they just keep squabbling back there for P2. So this is all really helping him out. And now Mayer's come down pit road. So he loses the position to Bauer, decides, okay, now's the time to just go ahead, come on down, pull into pit lane. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how long it takes him to pull off this pit stop. Remember, it took his teammate Dan McFarland 10.4 seconds. Brian Saab has come in, and he did 10.7. And Mayer's at 10.5. And he is out of his stall. So Lazan and Bauer have got to get a move on now. Ost and Wiley are also on pit lane. And Wiley's going to come off prior to Ost. The 007's on pit road as well. So a few early takers, but still a lot of people out on track who've chosen to not pit yet. Acatella and Darnell are once again going at it. Acatella slipped back behind Darnell a lap or two ago. And now as they approach the 30-minute mark, he'd very much like to get back into that 14th position. And he's got the windshield wipers on. That's how you know he means business. Looking for a little crossover, but it's hard to make a move up into this big sweeping. It's very fast. It's uphill. Trying to throw it up the inside there more often than not just results in you completely losing out on any momentum that you had. So now we're just waiting to see who comes into pit, who doesn't. When we check who has stopped, the top 15 here, nobody's come in yet. Of course, Matthew Mayer pitted from the top 15, as did Dan McFarland. Brian Saab has done a stop, as have Jacob Wiley and Christian Ost. Bowman's made a stop. So a few people have made stops. But overall, as we enter the 30-minute mark, less than half the field. But now Spencer Clark comes down pit road. And the 919 looks like he has an early stall. And yes, he stops right. Oh, he missed his stall. So that is going to result in a little time loss. So now it's time for Al Rizla to really put the pedal down. Blundall and Lynn come down pit lane. This is an important lap for Al Rizla because the people he was battling for position for P2 in the Delta class, Jacob Wiley and Spencer Clark, they pitted earlier than him. So he's out here on a low fuel tank. If he's kept his tires in, then staying out is the right move. He'll be able to overcut them. But if he's worn his tires, if he's overheated his tires more than those guys, he'll find himself in trouble as he misses that apex right there. So he'll be compromised on this downhill run. Acatella and Mark Darnell side by side just behind him. And Mayer's having to cut his way through these guys as he's coming out of pit lane right in the midst of this. So he goes around Darnell as well. And now he's got Acatella sitting in front of him. And the tires will naturally cool down while you're going down pit road and stopping for fuel. So these guys coming off pit lane, essentially they get a little speed boost for a bit of time before the tires start to come back up into temperature. And now a big name down pit road, one of the top 5 coming, and Lazan follows him. So Schink, Lazan are both down pit road. Bauer goes through, he continues on. Hendricks continues on. Bertolucci and Raymond 2 also continue. Here comes the Delta leader. And he does not pit, but Anthony Harrison does. And Clavijo now has nearly a 16-second lead on Al Rizla. And Al Rizla, this is it. It's time for him to pit. Let's see how he did. Let's look at Jacob Wiley. So Wiley's going through the quick left-right before turn 15, the final carousel. Anthony Harrison on pit exit. Al Rizla still in his stall. Al Rizla is leaving his stall now. 10.7 stop for the Motorsport Racing team. Now, where is he? There's Jacob Wiley. I think Wiley may get by him here. It's going to be close. Rizla on pit exit, but there goes Jacob Wiley into P2 in the Delta class. And the undercut has worked. And we may see a bit more of that with this new tire set. No longer is just running to the end of your fuel tank the fastest strategy if you can't keep your tires in. We saw Fuad struggling a little bit on that in lap. That could be the difference. Al Rizla does stay ahead of Saab, and Spencer Clark came back down pit road and served a stop. It looks like he served a stop-go penalty. He sat in the stall for 49 seconds. Maybe he got caught for a really big speeding penalty. I'm not sure, but that has ended his participation in the battle for the Delta podium. Michael Polasek, Logan McKenzie, Bauer, Hendricks, Bertolucci, all the guys who had not come down pit road. They are now on pit lane. Polasek pointed pretty far right in his stall. He gets out of there. It's a 9-second stop, 9.1. For McKenzie, it's 8.6. And Bauer, we're waiting to see how this affects Bauer because Lazan and Schink. So Schink's quite much further ahead of Lazan, but does Bauer come out ahead of Lazan? 9.3 second stop compared to Lazan's 11-second stop. It's going to be close. Lazan does get past Hendricks, but David Bauer has jumped both the cars ahead of him. Mayer wasn't ahead of him any longer, but now he's jumped his teammate Lazan, and he is through. The undercut, or not the undercut, in this case, it was the overcut that worked. So we've seen an example of an undercut working and an example of an overcut working in today's race. It's nice to see. Acatella and Darnell on pit exit, and Acatella has stayed ahead of Darnell. Clavijo's lead over Jacob Wiley is now about 14 seconds. So he did what he needed to do during the pit cycle. No mistakes. He's currently in position to bring home his first Delta win of the season. He just needs 9.5 more minutes here at Mugello. Michael Polasek still leads Logan McKenzie. This time, or at this point, it's 4.3 seconds for the 45. Bringing home a victory today would continue a pretty incredible string of domination from the 45. It would be his 8th win on the season if he sees the checkered flag today, which would be incredible. Those are numbers we have not seen since the likes of Waj. There may have been a season where Micah racked up about that many wins or close to it. And then Francois may have a season close to those numbers. But he's really in a class of his own so far this season. Looking further on back, James Carr is still hanging out behind Evan Clavijo. He's not been able to catch him. And Clavijo has outdriven a couple of Alpha drivers here so far today. James Carr, Anthony Harrison, Connor Acatella, Mark Darnell, Daniel E. Smith. He's finishing ahead of every single one of them. Bringing home big points for Yart as well in the Delta Team Championship, as long as he can keep Carr at bay. This is the closest battle on track right now. Lazan is still 1 second off of Bauer, and then Hendricks is another second off of him. And then Jacob Wiley is pretty firmly up there for P2 in the Delta class. Original is 2.4 seconds off. And then Brian Saab is 1.8 seconds off of fighting for that Delta podium. We look over there now, you see that group of cars. There's Jacob Wiley on the... He's entering the right side of your screen now. And then you see Rizla behind him, and then it's Brian Saab. That's 2, 3, and 4 in the Delta class. And Christian Ost is further behind them, sitting behind the white car of Connor Acatella there. There's only 7 minutes left in this race. And Micah Hendricks has closed big time on John Lazan on this lap, and he throws, he kind of throws a send up there through that hairpin. So now they're going to make the run down to turn 15, and Micah's going to be right on the back of Lazan. I could see him trying something into the carousel. Lazan, of course, the longer he holds up Hendricks, the better chance his teammate David Bauer will have of keeping Hendricks behind if Hendricks is that fast. Hendricks is going to the right. Lazan defends left and now comes back to the center of the track. He's still ahead of Hendricks, and he's just trying to make his car as wide as possible. Hendricks is not really close enough to do something yet. He's now looking to the left, so Lazan's going to hold the right side of the track. I think this is the right decision. We'll see if it pays off. Hendricks has got to hold the outside. He's doing it just as well as anybody has today. And he keeps his car alongside Lazan. He'll have better momentum here on exit, but Lazan's pretty far alongside, so they're going to have to go too wide through this section. This could get a bit dicey, as this one's a slightly more narrow, and for Lazan there, it's going to be too much. The inside car, or the car on the right side, is at a pretty big disadvantage when you go through that section. You have to clobber so many curbs to really keep up your momentum. The outside car or the car on the left side can dictate so well through that series of curves. And Matthew Mayer has crawled up to the back of these guys a little bit as they were fighting. That may help him eventually catch Lazan in this. Hendricks has his eyes on David Bauer, getting back to P4, which would be only one spot down from where he originally qualified in this race. Clavijo still has James Carr at bay. 5 minutes to go. Carr 4/10 back, and then up ahead, Lazan is still 4/10 off of Hendricks, and Mayer's a second off of him. Brian Saab has closed the gap to Fuad Al-Rijla. That's now a 7/10 of a second gap. So there could be a late race battle for the final spot on the Delta podium. The Motorsport Racing Team Audi will do whatever it can to hold on to that spot. And Clavijo he's under a bit more pressure this time as they come through the final corner. This is the closest Carr has been, and he's gonna have a bit of a run down the front stretch. Clavijo's gonna have to choose a side to defend. I say choose the right side, take the inside line. He does it. So now heading down to turn 1. This has been Carr's best chance in a while for P11 in the race. Around the outside of Clavijo into turn number 1. They break at about the same time. Clavijo very shallow. Gets a bit of a slide going there. Carr works around the outside of him, and that is the move done. So Carr gets around him and takes P11. And you saw Clavijo, he went in a little shallow. So to make up for it, he went in a little hot. And what that did was it resulted in him washing out as he kind of approached the apex and tried to really get the car slowed down to turn. Because the track, just the uphill nature of the track was really designed to push the car out like that. Al-Rijla, some issues there, but Al-Rijla is just ahead of Brian Saab here. Still P3 in the Delta class. But this gap shrinks every single lap here. And at this point, Saab's gonna go for it. Oh, that is a move that he threw it on Daniel Smith earlier, and it ended in tears. That time, he's not able to get the nose all the way in there, and he backs out of it a bit. Now these guys battling for second in the Delta class, but the Delta leader is not fully out of the woods yet. He's got Anthony Harrison to deal with as James Carr begins to pull away from this group. He's 8/10 up on Clavijo at this point, but Harrison now only 3/10 off the Delta leader. They dive into the final corner. Let's jump back to Brian Saab. Going on board with him as he looks for room behind the Audi. Into turn 15 they go, and Al-Rijla's got a better run there, so Saab's just going to focus on nailing this corner down. Al-Rijla dives in there. Saab with a more gradual entry. They both hug the curb. Saab tracks further out, but I don't think that necessarily means he got a better run off the corner. And look at this, Clavijo under pressure from Harrison into turn 1, and now Harrison is through as well. So the two Alpha drivers finally make their way around the Delta leader. Clavijo demoted to P12 overall, but still 16 seconds ahead of the rest of the Delta field. You see Jacob Wiley, he's kind of running on his own now. Further back, Christian Oost is still attached to Connor Acatella. He could try something here in the later stages of this race. Every position counts for points. And I think passing an Alpha driver for points makes it feel like it's worth even more. But for now, he's not able to get close enough to do anything. We look back at David Bauer, who is currently still putting on enough pace to keep Hendricks at bay. Hendricks has only been able to close up a couple tenths. He's 7/10 off of Bauer. Lazan has not lost Hendricks after Hendricks got around him. So very much they are all still in this thing. And don't forget about Mayer in the background. Saab very close to Alrijla there. Oh, I think he may have gone a bit deep in a corner though, because I saw the gap close up and then get quite large. So I think he may have gone in a bit deep. But he knows he's running out of time. Michael Polasek has gotten the white flag, so these two are only a couple corners away from receiving the white flag as well. And now James Carr on pit road. I think he's had to serve a penalty, but he is on pit road and he's out of this one. So Clavijo picks up a spot. Harrison picks up a spot. I mean, everyone back there does. But that is a nice news for the Delta leader, who gets a couple extra points there. And now Carr, yeah, I think he's completely out. He's gone to the garage on the final lap. So Michael Polasek, where is he now? He's only got a couple of corners to go. He's got 2 hairpins. He's led this entire race pretty much flag to flag. In fact, he pitted with the others. So this, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be a Grand Slam victory, his 8th victory of the season. This one, he started on pole. He took fastest lap. He's led every lap. And don't forget, he's got to win the race. Well, he's going to win the race. Coming around turn 15, he's got a 7.7 second gap to his teammate and closest championship rival behind. It was no contest for Polasek today at Mugello. He wins the Alpha class and the overall race in a dominating fashion. Bauer and Hendricks are going to be very close here. Hendricks is going to do something into the final corner. He sends it. Can Bauer hold it around the outside? Oh, he's gone out too far wide. He shouldn't have even let Hendricks in, but he's done it. And Hendricks gets into P4. McKenzie, P2. Schenk, P3. Bauer, Lazan, Mayer, they all come across the line. Evan Clavijo in the final corner. He has come up winless all season. No longer. The Yark driver finds victory at Mugello, and he too finds it in dominating fashion. It is a 17, nearly 18 second margin over Jacob Wiley, the championship leader. That is a huge feather in his cap, and victory for Evan Clavijo. A very impressive drive. Jacob Wiley comes off the final corner to BP3, and Fuad Alrijla just barely holds off Brian Saab and Connor Acatella to come home on the Delta podium as they all come down to the finish line here. And Acatella is just not close enough to do anything to Saab there, but the finishing margins between the 3 of them, very, very close. A couple other finishers coming across the line. And that will just about do it from Mugello. You see Spencer Clark finishing up his race, what could have been without that penalty. But still, he comes home and gets as many points as he can there at the end of the race. Nearly 50 minutes of nonstop action here in Italy. We'll come back to you shortly with the final results of the race and an updated championship picture. Thanks for watching, and have a good evening.